Om Shanti, everyone.
Good evening and Om Shanti, sister.
So, have you reviewed the previous Murli?
No, I have not. Sorry, sister.
But you attended, right? So,
Yes.
And Bob, have you had a chance to review it?
I tried to do some of the homework, but I try to do the homework all the time.
And what did you do?
Well, let's see what I looked at my notes. Watch your body knows that, but it's hard to do that.
You know, Bob, you got cut off a little bit at the beginning, so I didn't hear the first part.
Well, I think the homework was watch your thoughts, surrender to body, and no judgments.
And you found that not so easy?
Well, I always the first and the third ones always try that one anyway. It's a common sense, I think. But Baba, that you know, I think recently I'm more understanding that one. You know, that and it's a hard to progress, I think, with that.
How
But
about you? Say it again. Last one.
It's the surrender to Baba.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you could make more examples to how to do that. I just everybody tries that one too, but it's easy to say and hard to get results.
Right. It's, you know, it is easy to say and hard to do, partly because when we don't know the instructions properly, it's hard to do. It's sort of like when you get a manual, you know, instructions to set up a laptop or set up an iPhone. If we don't understand it well and we don't follow it well, we don't know exactly what features it has to use. So that's the hard part. The hard part is not understanding the guidelines, the instructions. But that is very good observation though. And you know, I checked with my teacher, you know, the one who has taught me at the beginning, you know, back in Boston years ago. Yeah, I checked with her about the point that you mentioned last week, that how come, you know, if, for example, we are trying to plug in with the 220 volt, are we going to blow up or explode? You know, and I was mentioning to her what answer that I came to me to share, and she said to me that, you know, that is A, 100% correct, but B, she said, anyone who has finished the course and the advanced course and has reached to lesson 5 of language of God, they have a very special role to play within this cycle, you know, and she said that definitely they are of 220 caliber, they're of 220 quality, 220 volt capacity. So the 220 connecting with 220 will not explode, will actually be completely nourished. So I thought, oh, that's nice to know. So I just wanted to let you know, Bob, and to you too, Manju. Manju Ben, that you have been able to be in this to this level of absorbing God's love and God's love letters that
Thank you,
He's sharing with us.
thank you, sister.
So well, it was good news to me too, so but I thought I wanted to share that with you, so you know that if you have made it till here, it's because you have a very special role to play throughout the cycle, not just now. So you have to be here. Yeah, you're meant to be here, and you're powerful souls. So
No, and
today,
thank you for giving us the lessons, sister.
yeah,
It's a blessing to have you. It's a blessing to have you with us too.
it is all the doing of our Father, right? Because He
Yes,
came up with all this language, and He came up
yes.
with all these lessons. He shared it with me. I never forget. I remember when I was taking these classes, I said to my teacher, I can teach all these things. I know I can be a good teacher. And she said to me, yes, you will. But first work on yourself.
Yes.
I was like, no, I want to teach others. She said, not yet. So that was like 15 years later, I started teaching, not a few weeks later. Because you get enthusiastic and you feel like, you can share and narrate and teach and convey. But if it doesn't come from a place of experience, that just becomes a parrot-like. You're just sharing. So today's Murli is on Bhakti. Bhakti is a term, a Hindi term meaning devotion,
Yes.
path of devotion, also known as, in BK terms, it's known as also path of ignorance. Because if you think about it, when we are throughout the cycle, starting the Copper Age onwards, when we are on the path of devotion, we're just doing things ritualistically, and we're doing things out of our love for spirit, for the religion, out of our love for God, our love for the messengers of God, and partly out of habit and out of fear sometimes. So the main concept of this Murli is of bhakti and the original significance behind the present day rituals and ceremonies and holidays, etc. This Murli also offers a chance for us to be introduced to some of the aspects of the Hindu culture and why Baba refers to this culture and to the scriptures as much as he does in the Murli. The Hindu culture and the scripture, for the most part, is a story of our own culture and scriptures. It's just that it was for the most of the cycle of time, the cycle being for the most of the time of the 5,000 years, from the Copper Age onwards, actually, we were following all these rituals and all these ceremonies and holidays, etc., etc. It's just that only recently we have come into those other branches, and it's just nice to understand what bhakti is, and how Baba is referring to it. And throughout the Murli, as you're listening, think about the times that you have you have used your own culture and traditions, and what are the significance, to explore some of the significant truth within those traditions and cultures. So in this Merli, we have the many vocabularies. I have included them all, and I have put them together, elaborated on the meaning of them. Like, for example, bhakti, which we just heard, and ravan, which is in one way, it's synonymous to Maya, or Satan. It's in the scriptures, Ravan is remembered as an evil king, and this evil king has 10 heads. And the reason Ravan has 10 heads, of course, in the stories, the king, this evil king has 10 heads, but it's really the symbol of the reality of the five vices within men, and five vices within women. So 10 heads, and there are more descriptions. When you receive the Merli and the file, you can read it and see how it describes. Then there is, of course, the word that we have, Baharat. We hear that quite often in the Merli, and Baharat means it's actually that land mass in which the golden age and the silver age happened during that time. It's not necessarily, it's not referred to the current India. It's referred to the time when those souls resided in that space, in that landmass, and lived through the golden age and through the silver age, which is many of us. Baba said a number of times in Merlis that if you get to hear the Merli, you end up being in the golden age. It's just that depending on how much effort you make, it will determine your status. That's something else. But you're hearing the Merli will bring you already to the golden age. So there will be many descriptions, many vocabularies. Maybe we will address them as we go along, but let's start with the Merli first. Essence is, sweet children, your light has now been ignited. To have your lamp ignited means to have the omens of Jupiter present over you. Now, omens of Jupiter, like I was told that in mythology, Jupiter is termed as Prince of Light, or King of Gods. And Jupiter could communicate with all the other signs. In the spiritual perspective, when I am connected with Baba, from the spiritual meaning behind it, when I'm connected with Baba, I experience his protection, and I feel peace, and I'm able to find solutions to whatever I am facing. And that's why Baba talks about how to have your lamp ignited means to have the omens of Jupiter present over you. To have the omens of Jupiter over you means to become the masters of the world. The question is, what is the speciality of every home in the Golden Age? What has every home in the Iron Age become? So in reference to the essence, what we heard, what do you think? What is the speciality of every home in the Golden Age?
all the virtues,
What is it?
all the virtues.
Remember when Baba was saying that how your light has now been ignited?
Yeah.
So Baba is saying, now Baba is asking, what is the speciality of every home in the golden age, right?
That means every home would have the omens of Jupiter in their home, is it?
Yeah, and the omens of Jupiter means that every house, every home is going to be lit.
So does it mean also that, Miss Sister, also that every human being in that home would have to be lit?
But that's it, because now okay, let's see what Baba is saying first. In the golden age, there is happiness in every home and everyone's light is ignited. Whereas in the Iron Age, every home has sorrow and worries. Every home is in darkness because the light of each soul has gone out. The Father has come to reignite everyone's light with his own light so that there may be light in every home. So do you see? It's not the light like this, you see the light above me? It's not that light that Baba is talking about. It's talking about how every light has been ignited in each home in the golden age. And of course, you know, copper age onwards, when Baba says that every home has sorrow and worries, because as soon as you introduce worries and sorrow and fear and doubt, the light has gone out. The light of knowledge has gone out. Then bhakti begins. Right? Because we need to do, if we are not aware of I, the soul, the light within the soul, then I'll have to do some sort of devotion to prove my commitment to God, to prove my commitment to truth.
Sister,
So,
I have a question.
yes?
I have a question. To have every soul lit in every home, wouldn't that be dependent on every soul's karmic account from previous? Some people might be just, you know, emotionally imbalanced for whatever reason from their past birth, and some may be just naturally jubilant all the time. So how, like when you say Ravan has 10 heads and 5 vices are for men, 5 are, you know, women. So there could be vices and virtues in every home, right?
In the starting copper age onwards, there is. In the golden age, there isn't.
Okay.
Golden age is the age of purity, is the age of newness, you know,
Okay.
and all the souls that come down, they are already soul conscious. Now we are trying to become soul conscious.
Okay.
And this knowledge that Baba is sharing with us is helping, you know, drip by drip, drop by drop, is helping to open up our third eye. It's helping to awaken the soul to its original truth and reality, which is the soul being light.
Okay.
And then in the golden age, everyone is soul conscious.
Okay.
And because everyone is soul conscious, every home is happy. Every home is happy, the house is always lit.
Okay.
Light of happiness. So the song is, Mother, oh Mother, you are the bestower of fortune for all. Mother, capital M, oh Mother. You children have understood already that the world kingdom at this time is impure and is referred to as the kingdom of Ravan. It has been explained to you that all of these festivals are based on blind faith. Actually, all of them are tall stories. An example, there was no such person with 10 heads called Ravan. In fact, this custom of burning Ravan exists throughout Bharat. He is not burned anywhere else. It is only in the newspapers in this country that all of this appears. Now it is the duty of you children to explain this. What are they doing? It is an enemy's effigy that is created and burned. Just as people used to create an effigy of Hitler and burn it, many people have enemies. Now, whose enemy is Ravan? He is the enemy of the people of Bharat. However, an enemy is only burned once. There is no one who would make an effigy of an enemy and burn it every year. So do you see how this becomes such a tradition, a blind faith tradition, a custom of burning an effigy of this character called Ravan with 10 heads, not understanding why we're doing it. Like in South America too, they create this evil, you know, it's not a saint, but it's like a fallen saint. And they also carry him and then they burn him. That's all about this time where we are now consciously burning all these impurities within ourselves. So, but we need to do it one time because confluence age is only once. We cannot repeat this confluence age again and again. We cannot take, you know, leave the body and come back and then continue with burning our impurities and our negativities.
Sister, I have a question then. How do you, I'm not a Muslim, but I know that in Islamic faith, the men hit themselves, right?
Right.
During Ramadan, but they do it every year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So,
I lived in Iran and I've seen that whole tradition happening, not understanding why they're doing it.
okay.
But now I understand from what Baba is explaining about how path of bhakti and path of devotion is a path of ignorance, because we're doing these things as a penance. You know, it's like, you know, I am trying to hurt myself and bleed and torture myself because of all the sins that I have performed and all the sins that others have performed. But sin doesn't go away this way.
Yes.
This is just a tradition. You know, some do, some don't.
So aren't you better off burning an effigy rather than hitting yourself?
There's so many ways that are happening. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, even in India, I don't know if you remember and you know that how people go to Kashi and they drop themselves inside, you know, the well, or they burn themselves.
Yes.
So, or they go to the Ganges River, you know, and they dip into that river thinking that they're going to become pure.
Yes.
So this is also bhakti.
Yes.
You know? And what Baba is trying to do is to stop us from doing these things. Instead, if you want to burn your own weaknesses, burn your own flaws and your own negativities, your waste thoughts. You know, if we need to transform, let me transform the way I'm thinking. Let me transform my reality from this body to the soul. And the transformation is easy. The transformation is fast. and is free, and is free from pain. Definitely free from pain. So Baba says there is no one who would make an effigy of an enemy and burn it every year. People do make an effigy of their enemy, but they would not burn it year after year. So who is this Ravan whose effigy of 10 heads have been made and burned in Bharat for such a long time? For how long has he been an enemy? He who does not die, will he eventually be destroyed, or will he live forever? You children know that only Bharat was pure and then made impure by Ravan. It is now the kingdom of Ravan. So as such, there is no meaning for Ravan. It is the name of a person, you know. But in reality, we know from Baba, its real interpretation is the vices. They show him to be having these 10 heads of the 5 male and female vices, but that's it. It's not that evil king that people think of and are afraid of. You should explain to them this about Ravan. This is a very powerful point. You are now sitting in the kingdom of Ravan. Why do you sit in the kingdom of Ravan?
The iron influence age.
The Iron
Because
Age?
it's influence.
Did you say Confluence Age or
Iron Age.
Iron Age?
I said both. I don't know which one. I think the Iron Age is the worst. You won't have much chance to do something.
Correct. But exactly, it is in the Iron Age because as Baba was saying, is that you're now sitting in the kingdom of Ravan. In the kingdom of Ravan is usually it starts from the Copper Age until the end of Iron Age. The end of it, that little tiny age, the Confluence Age. If we really switch and jump into Confluence Age in our consciousness, in our awareness, knowing that Confluence Age is the age of purifying the self. It's the age of bringing benefit to the self and bringing benefit to the world. It's the age of transforming the old to new. And it's the age of celebration of meeting of the soul with the Supreme Soul. So if we are in the confluence stage, we're not going to feel the kingdom of Ravan. But when we switch back into the Iron Age, we know that we are in the kingdom of Ravan, because then there is all kinds of impurities and all kinds of sorrow and pain and grief and. So the impure world is called the kingdom of Ravan, because this is the impure world, what we are seeing now out there. The meaning of the kingdom of Rama, which is the kingdom of God, and the kingdom of Ravan has been explained to you. Ravan stands for the 5 vices. It is nothing else. You understand that the kingdom of Ravan is in Bharat. It is also in Bharat that Dashera and the Rosary of Lights are celebrated. So Dashera is another tradition or custom or festival that is performed in India, and it's a festival that celebrates the victory of good over evil. There is this celebration, but truly we need to become the embodiment of the Shera. We need to be that festival of good over evil of the self, right?
Yes.
So it is also in Bharat that the Shera and the Rosary of Lights are celebrated, the Rosary of Lights. So you have to explain this to everyone. If he is alive, then this is the kingdom of Ravan. Ravan is the one who makes you impure. You know that it is the 5 vices called Ravan, that it is the 5 vices called Ravan that are omnipresent. When souls had the power of being Sattva-pradhan, Sattva-pradhan, it means pure. It's a good term. I think Manjuban, you would know this term, right? Pure, Sattva-pradhan.
Yes.
But Bob, it's good for you to become familiar with this term. There are 2 terms that are opposite: Sattva-pradhan and Tamo-pradhan. Sattva means pure and Tamo means impure. And Baba often refers to these 2 terms a lot because at the end of the day, you know, we're talking about the kingdom of God and the kingdom of the devil, or the evil kingdom, and the kingdom of purity and the kingdom of impurity, the kingdom of light and the kingdom of darkness. So when souls had the power of being Sattva-pradhan, pure, they were like a burning light. When they became impure, their light was put out. It is the soul that has become impure and no longer has the power to fly. You know, this, when I heard this sentence, when Baba said that when they became impure, their light was put out, I would like to encourage you to find this video. I don't know where you can find it, on Netflix, Amazon. Just do your research, maybe on Google. It's called The Last Unicorn. It's an animation, and it's the story of this unicorn with a beautiful corn, you know, on the forehead. So, but it was the last one that was left. So just watch it, because it just makes so much sense when Baba says that, you know, when you were pure, you were like a burning light, and when you became impure, the light went out. And that movie totally describes this line. So maybe if you get to see it during this week, then next week you can tell me what you got out of it.
Okay, sure.
Okay? It's fun, you know, and it's very, very, very innocent and beautiful animation story. So it is the soul that has become impure and no longer has the power to fly. The vices have made the soul iron aged. You must definitely explain this, and explain that only one Baba can awaken the soul. Everyone calls out for the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, the embodiment of light to come. You souls were also embodiments of light, like the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, but the light of you souls is now almost out. Only faintest glimmer remains. When someone dies, others burn a lamp for them day and night, and they take great care of the lamp. When the oil is used up, they refill it. Souls too are like this. Baba comes and ignites everyone's light, and refills it with, what does Baba refill it with? Because he comes and he ignites the light, right? Ignites my light, ignites your light, ignites Bob's light, Manju, just Yogita's, Venu's, Sister Gita's. Baba does that. But what does he refill it with? Something has to sustain the light. What do you think it is?
His love.
Love. Is the love that ignited the light. Now what does it sustain it?
So probably the purity of your own soul has to sustain it.
Well, just like what Baba said at the beginning, you know, the lights have become dim. So there is a lot of impurity in it at this point. What is it that helps the impurity change and the purity increase?
The power of churning.
Very good. It is part of the power. Part of that is the power of churning, but it is Baba says, and refills it with knowledge.
Okay.
Because you need to have knowledge in order to churn it, right?
Yes.
You need that power of churning, 100%. But what he does, this is what he does. You know, every day we're listening to this, and he is giving us more and more knowledge. The knowledge is what keeps the light on, doesn't let it go down. Because by now, if I understand that I have to really deal with the law of karma, and for every thought I have or every action I perform, there is a reaction, equal and opposite reaction. And same kind of reaction is going to be bounced back at me. Then I might as well be much more cautious what I think or what I say or what I do, because that comes back to me. I don't want, if I'm hurting somebody, I don't want somebody to hurt me back. I know that now. So I'm using knowledge not to hurt people, not to take revenge, not to make bad wishes for others. Because whatever I'm thinking, it bounces back. This is part of me having that knowledge. And that's why Baba says that Baba comes and ignites everyone's light and refills it with knowledge. For how long does an ignited light last? Those people light the lamp at night and then continue to top it up with oil. Your light is now in the process of being ignited. Later, it will be fully ignited. Baba comes every 5,000 years to refill you extinguished lights and ignites you again. You, lights, are now ignited. Then gradually your degrees of light will reduce until you are extinguished. You know that your light is now ignited and that in the golden age there will be light in every home. There is now darkness in every home. There is no happiness. You know that in the golden and silver ages, we were happy. We were very happy. And we used to celebrate in happiness. At that time, all lamps remain ignited, and then afterwards, little by little, their flames grow weaker. At this time, they are completely extinguished because alloy has been mixed into the souls. And what does Baba mean by alloy here?
We become impure.
Right, a lot of impurities has been mixed into the soul. The Father has now come and is once again refilling you with the oil of knowledge. He once again ignites your light and opens your eye of knowledge. You know that your celestial degrees are finished. Your celestial degrees, your heavenly degrees, your heavenly quality and power has decreased. Or as Baba says, you know that your celestial degrees are finished. It takes such a long time for you to become ugly. From the very start, you gradually begin to be tarnished. Then once you are possessed by Maya, you begin to become very ugly. God speaks, I, the imperishable Father of imperishable souls, am teaching you Raja Yoga. One is a physical father and the other is the spiritual father. You must show the contrast between the two. Also explain when and how you meet the spiritual father whom all the spirits have been remembering on the path of devotion. A physical father is perishable, but souls are not perishable. You know that you have a different physical father for birth after birth. Unless children have a father, they cannot take birth. You children have now received a broad intellect. You know when you acquire two fathers. In the golden age, you only have one physical father and you remember only this father, small f. So you must explain these things to people and tell them that on the path of devotion, you have a perishable physical father who is different in each birth. You also remember the imperishable spiritual father because you souls are imperishable. That's one reason why we remember him. Because we, deep down, we remember some faint memory of I, the soul, I, the imperishable soul. And that's why I remember the imperishable father too. Or the idea of this imperishable, this subtle, invisible being known as God, or the supreme light, supreme being. That's why we don't forget him throughout the cycle. We might at one point even leave him, you know, because we got so fed up searching for him, become atheists. But still, it's part of the anger of the soul for not having achieved that search or attained anything in that search. So you also remember the imperishable spiritual father because you souls are imperishable. You even say the Supreme Father is the Father, capital F, who lives in Paramdam. Paramdam means soul world, the world of nirvana, the world of bliss, the world beyond this world, and the supreme home or the supreme abode. So you even say the Supreme Father is the Father because is the Father who lives in Paramdam. A physical father would never be called the Supreme Father. So it is essential to explain the secret of two fathers. You must also explain about Ravan, the kingdom of Ravan, which means the impure kingdom exists now. This is why people call out for the purifier, capital P, the purifier, for the Father to come. He is the imperishable Father. He must definitely prove the existence of the two fathers. There has to be a Father of souls because people remember the Parlokhic Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. And the Parlokhic means from beyond this physical world. And Parlokhic Supreme Father is the Father that is from beyond this physical world, the Supreme Soul. In every birth, you receive a different physical father, and yet people definitely still remember the spiritual father. He never changes. The Father says, it is true that you used to remember me and call out to me, O Supreme Father, Supreme Soul. Until when do you have to remember me? Baba is asking, until when do you have to remember me? And when do you meet the Father again? You know now that when the path of devotion comes to an end, the Father comes to give his devotees their reward. Now, this is a school. You now also know the one who is teaching you. And who is teaching us? Who is teaching us now?
I hope Baba.
Yeah. Did you say you hope?
Yeah, I guess Raven's teaching somebody, but not me, I hope.
Yes, yes. No, but this language of God, the Murli that we're listening to is definitely Baba teaching us. Definitely Baba is teaching us. If anytime you feel in your meditation that you're being guided maybe in a strange way and doesn't feel right, know that that's not Baba. He would never do anything to harm us. But as Baba says, this is a school. And you now also know the one who is teaching you. God speaks. You didn't know anything about the one whom you used to remember and worship on the path of devotion. When your stage becomes complete, a memorial of that is then created on the path of devotion. For example, there is the festival of Raksha Bandhan. Raksha Bandhan, it's another festival that is celebrated somewhere in summertime. And it's a term of celebration. It's a term that is used, in a worldly manner. It's a celebration of the brother to sister relationship, meaning that the brother gives some protection and gifts while the sister shows gratitude by tying this sacred thread known as Rakhi on his wrist. and that's why Baba is saying that, you know, but in Baba's term, what it means, you know, that was the worldly term. But in Baba's term, it's a symbol of his love and protection. That if you tie this thread of protection, then you're going to be protected by his love. Same, you know, another tradition, that another bhakti tradition that is being, Baba is explaining to us in great extent. So Baba says when, for example, there is the festival of Raksha Bandhan. Now, the line before he said, when your stage becomes complete, a memorial of that is then created on the path of devotion. So as we are working now to tie ourselves to his love, and his protection is keeping us safe, once we become complete, that in the next cycle on the path of devotion is going to be translated into a celebration of Raksha Bandhan. So that's why Baba says, for example, there is the festival of Raksha Bandhan. When we have tied the complete Rakhi and claimed our fortune of the kingdom, we won't celebrate that festival. The meanings of all the mantras have been explained to you. The meaning of Om has also been explained to you. The meaning of Om is not big and complicated. Om means I am a soul, and this is my body. On the path of ignorance, you are body conscious, and so you consider yourself to be a body. Day by day, the path of devotion is becoming more and more degraded. It continues to become more and more tamopradhan. And tamopradhan means impure. Remember sattopradhan, tamopradhan. Everything is at first sattopradhan. Everything at first is pure. Devotion was also sattopradhan at first, when you used to remember the one true Shiv Baba. There is no name or trace of devotion in the golden age. Now there is so much splendor, and they have so many fairs, etc., so that people can go there and entertain themselves. The Father comes and entertains you, so that for 21 births you are constantly entertained. You will never even have the thought of going to fairs, etc. People go to all the different places for happiness. You don't need to go to the mountains, etc. Look how people here die. People don't know the golden or iron ages or heaven and hell. You become happy when you listen to the Father. You are making effort in order to go to the new world. Children, you now have to prove that you are claiming your unlimited inheritance from the unlimited Parlokik Father. Remember Parlokik Father? What it means, Parlokik? The one from beyond?
Physical world. Beyond the physical world.
Beyond the physical world, yeah. Metaphysical. The Father comes only when heaven has to be created. He is called Heavenly God, the Father. A kingdom is being created. According to how much each of you remembers the Father, so you will claim a status in the kingdom number-wise. The main thing is to remember the Father. You do the somersault through which you go to heaven. Baba has seen how sages and others too somersault whilst going on a pilgrimage. You know, there are also pilgrimages, like I have even actually seen in Canada, there is this very huge cathedral, and it has so many steps. And these nuns, the nuns come and they use their elbows to go up the steps. And then when they go up, then they do the somersault, you know, until they get to the door. So all these traditions of, you know, like you have to work so hard in order to get to reach God's doorstep. And Baba says you don't need to do that. You do the somersault through which you go to heaven. Baba has seen how sages and others too somersault whilst going on a pilgrimage. They give themselves a lot of difficulty. There is no question of difficulty here. There's a matter of what? Which power do we need?
Knowledge.
Power of, now we need another power. That was the oil of knowledge. And now we need this power, because he's saying you use this power, you don't need to work so hard. And at the beginning, Bob was mentioning that how surrendering to Baba is not that easy.
The power to discern.
Power of
Okay.
Yoga.
Okay.
Right? Baba is saying this is a matter of the power of yoga. Yoga means your link and your connection with him. You remembering him. Do you children find the pilgrimage of remembrance difficult? What do you think? Do you find the pilgrimage of remembrance difficult? Meaning, do you find remembering Baba difficult?
No.
No. It has been called easy yoga so that you don't become afraid on hearing about it. Some say, Baba, I'm unable to stay in yoga. Baba then makes it easy for you. This is remembrance of the Father. You can remember anything. The Father says, consider yourself to be a soul. You are children, are you not? This one is your Father and also your beloved. All the lovers remember him. All the spiritual lovers remember him. The one word Father, capital F, is enough. On the path of devotion, you remembered your friends and relatives, etc. And even then, you definitely said, oh God, oh Ishwar. Ishwar, another word for God. You simply didn't know who God was. The Father of all souls is the Supreme Soul. The Father of this body is a bodily being. The Father of souls is bodiless. He never comes into rebirth. All others come into rebirth, and this is why you only remember the Father. He definitely gave you happiness at some point. He is called the remover of sorrow and the bestower of happiness. But people don't know his name, form, land, or time. The Father teaches you with so much love. He is God, the one who gives you peace. You receive so much happiness from him. He speaks just the one Gita and makes impure ones pure. Only the Father explains this. The Father says, you were pure and you have now become tamopradhan, which means what? You have now become impure. You now have to become pure and satopradhan. Will you become this by bathing in the Ganges? Baba is asking.
No.
Will you?
No. No.
It is the Father who is the purifier. You know, it's funny because Baba is known as the ocean of purity, ocean of love, ocean of peace. So if you immerse yourself in that ocean, of course, in that remembrance, you become pure because you're in the company of the purifier, the ocean of purity. And then that later on gets forgotten. And then people go into the water and they think that, okay, let me just go into this water and purify myself. Because we forgot that, you know, the easy thing to do is just be in connection with the ocean of love or ocean of purity.
Actually, also, sister, it could also be probably mean because we consist of the 5 elements, right? Earth, water, fire, ether. So we think of if water is part of us, then, you know, we can also be part of water, probably.
So that's one of the path of bhakti justification.
Yes.
I want to be part of water.
Yes.
But who is I? The thing is that the light has been dimmed, the light of the soul. And then we try to take care of the 5 elements.
Yes.
Through one of
True.
the 5 elements.
Yes, that's true.
Right? So
Yes.
the thing is that what we're trying to do is we were trying to stay away from the 5 elements. Although Baba always says, become friends with the 5 elements, because at the time of destruction, your 5 elements are going to be your friends and will protect you.
Mm-hmm.
They will help you, not hurt you. Such as now, you know, for example, a lot of people, sometimes even they die from worrying about coronavirus rather than just getting the coronavirus.
Yes.
But the 5 elements is protecting us because we have been respecting the 5 elements. We have been feeding it properly through time. And then now it's giving it back to us by not making us sick, by protecting us from the situations around the world. So that's so true, but it's not. We are not the 5 elements. We are the soul, and the soul is immortal, eternal.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So Baba says that you now have to become pure and satopradhan. Will you become this by bathing in the Ganges? It is the Father who is the purifier. Only when he comes and shows you the path can you become pure. People continue to call out to him, but they do not know anything. It is the soul that calls out through the organs, through the 5 elements. O purifier, Baba, come and purify us. Then the Father comes and makes everyone pure. This is the pilgrimage of remembrance, which no one knows about. The most important subject of all is the pilgrimage of remembrance. Remember this, write it down, underline it, bold it, highlight it. The most important subject of all is the pilgrimage of remembrance. consider yourself to be a soul and remember the Father. Now, this is pilgrimage of remembrance. Consider yourself to be a soul and remember the Father. Have any of you seen The Lion King? Manju or Bob?
No, I have not seen it, sister.
No.
Okay, you haven't seen it. So I will try to find that clip on YouTube and I'll send it to Vinu to send it to you. The Lion King is this, this baby king that his father, who is the king of the jungle, he dies. And the baby king, the baby lion, decides to escape the jungle and go somewhere into the other side, where other creatures live. And he wanted to totally ignore his responsibilities and his duties, and he was afraid, because the uncle was the one who killed the father. Anyway, what happens is that at one point the baby king got older. Now he became big. Now he's the lion, the big lion. But what happened was the wizard comes and he's like wishing that he will meet his father once. He missed his father so much, and this wizard shows up and takes him to the lake. Like we get to this ocean of love, and he takes him to the lake. And there he meets his father in a form of light of lion. And the baby lion says, "Oh, father, father." And then the father turns to him and says, "You have forgotten me." And he says, "No, I did not forget you." He said, "Yes, you have forgotten me because you have forgotten yourself." You see, the thing is that he totally forgot that he is the king of the jungle, and he needs to go back and take responsibility and bring order to the jungle and take care of all the other creatures in the jungle. So he said, "You've forgotten me, because if you don't know who you are, then you cannot remember the father who is the king of the jungle, who was." And the same thing, this is why Baba tells us. He says, consider yourself to be a soul and remember the Father. He never, ever says, remember the Father first. He always says, consider yourself to be a soul, because if you don't know who you are, then you cannot remember the Father. Do you see?
Yes.
It's very important to make that connection and understand the order. That's why Baba says the most important subject of all is the pilgrimage of remembrance. But first remember who you are, then remember the Father. That might help, Bob, in understanding how to surrender yourself to Him, in understanding how to remember Him. Because we need to understand who we are as a soul. Because this is not Lisa. This is, the soul is eternal. The soul is changeless, is timeless, the soul. And the soul is eternal, immortal, undying, ever living. It's just this character is it's always changing. So again, consider yourself to be a soul and remember the Father. To the sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good night from the mother, the father, Bab Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children, and the spiritual children, as we are, say namaste to the spiritual father. The essence for Dharna. Dharna is that inculcation of the virtues and the essence of the knowledge that Baba is sharing with us, where he's telling us what is the essence for Dharna. Number one is, while refilling yourself with the oil of knowledge, constantly remain ignited. Stay in the remembrance of the Father and remove the bad influences. Number 2, you have 2 fathers, your spiritual father and your bodily father. Help others to recognize this and help them to claim a right to an unlimited inheritance. Blessing. May you be freed from any bondage of karma by becoming an embodiment of knowledge. May you be freed from any bondage of karma by becoming an embodiment of knowledge and acting in the awareness of the philosophy of karma. Many children become very strong and are able to put everything aside physically. However, their karmic accounts still continue to pull their minds and intellect again and again. This becomes a huge obstacle for them. Therefore, if you want to move away from someone, first of all, have it verified by a senior instrument, because this is the philosophy of karma. When you break away from someone by force, your mind is pulled back again and again. So become an embodiment of knowledge and recognize the philosophy of karma. Then have it verified and you will be freed from any bondage of karma very easily. And the slogan is, remain seated on your seat of self-respect, and Maya will surrender herself to you. Nice. Become seated on your seat of self-respect. Now, Baba mentioned about Maya. I mentioned about Ravan. You know, the thing is, the interesting thing, the way I picture it, Maya, here the definition says that Maya is the human weaknesses, the illusion, the 5 vices. It's understood that Maya is the effect of Ravan on us. Ravan is the same for all, but Maya is specific to a person. Maya is like the product of Ravan. And the way I picture it is like there is this CEO called Ravan, and he always sends his this very charming assistant to the clients to trick them and deceive them. And is this charmer that gets us in trouble. So, you know, yes, the vice, for example, you know, we have the 5 vices. And in the handouts that you will be receiving, you know, this handout, all the 5 vices are explained very, very well. But I'm just going to read 2 words on each vice. So ego always says, I know. Anger, what do you think anger says? Anger says, I expect. Right. What is it?
I am right always.
Oh, yeah, totally. But by me saying I'm right, it's like I expect things to be this way and this way and that way.
Yes.
Because when they're not the way we want them to be, what happens? We get angry, right?
Yes.
Attachment is I own.
Yes.
This is my child. This is my house. This is my laptop. So attachment is I own. Lust is I desire. And greed, very easy. What is greed? Very easy. Actually, there are 3 words for it.
Unnecessary wants.
Yes, but use it in these 2 words. I what?
I want.
Yeah, I want. I have. I need.
Yes.
That's greed, So that's why Maya shows in many, many subtle ways it comes to. Like, for example, you have this pure desire to, for example, I'm giving you this example because it happened to me so many times. I have this pure desire to study this spiritual study, and you want to deepen your understanding. And then Maya comes and says, how much do you need to study? Well, you don't need to spend so much time on this. You need to have balance. Why don't you sit and watch this series? And then, even will be clever and say, oh, maybe you should even watch this spiritual series, And then you see a commercial and then say, well, isn't that interesting? Why don't we just order this? So Maya is very subtle in the way it lures us back into the body consciousness. So as I become aware of these 5 vices, and as I become very much alert as to how Maya comes and tricks me, then I can then shift that awareness and shift that influence, and I will be the one who is influencing. And that's why, what did Baba say in the slogan? He said that remain seated on your seat of self-respect, and Maya will surrender herself to you. You don't step down from the seat of self-respect, which is self-respect, meaning understanding yourself as a soul, knowing yourself as a soul, considering yourself as a soul. You stay in that self-respect, then Maya has no way of deceiving you, and it will have to surrender to me. So we have reached the 9 o'clock time. If you have any points that you would like to share before we end the session.
Yeah, I do have a point, sister. It finally makes me realize a sentence that I had read maybe a few years ago. It said that we are not a body with a soul, but we are a soul with a body.
Right.
I mean, all these years you identify yourself with a body, and you're never taught in school or during education that what spirituality is. And you come here, it's always plastic surgery this and plastic surgery that, and so much importance is laid to your exterior, but never to your interior.
No.
So
I remember.
Yeah.
My son was 3 years old, and they were in preschool. And of course, he was a bit familiar, he was familiar with this knowledge. And one day he goes to school and he asks his friend, and I never forget his friend's name. Her name was Bree. She was also a 3-year-old. He said to her, are you a body, or do you have a body?
Oh, and your son was 3 years old?
Yeah, he was 3 years old. And she said, I don't know. It just doesn't sound right to say I am a body. That was her answer. And I thought that was precious
Yes.
to hear from this 3-year-old, that are you a body, or do you have a body?
You've often talked about your son. Is he a spiritual seeker as well, like you?
No, he's not a seeker at all. He said to me his mission was for me to become spiritual, and then he said, I'm done with my job.
Oh.
Yeah, he did it.
So he's the one who kind of not pushed you, but maybe, yeah, of course you had your own, desire, but he's the one who propelled you into this path.
Right, totally.
Yes. How lovely is that? Yeah,
because we can always talk about it at this level, even up to today. I had a meeting in the afternoon, and I said to him, I don't think I can concentrate, and I feel like I want to go and take a nap. And then he said to me, you're going to push through it, and you're going to do a great job. Don't give in to sleep.
Oh,
And I was like, yeah, that's so true, you know, because once you get involved,
yes.
then you wake up.
Well,
So
he's a beautiful soul.
beautiful soul and a good company, you know, when you need, when we both, you know, supported each other. But I remember Daddy Janky when she saw him one time in one of his many years, you know, he said he was 6 or 7. She said to him, is she your teacher or are you are you her teacher? And then he said, I am her teacher. So there it is. He
Yes,
knows that.
yes.
Bob, do you have anything to add from what you have heard in the Merli?
Well, you might find interesting, go back to the 220. The reason I said that is many years ago, I was around a yogi just standing there talking with a couple people, and out of the blue, a lightning bolt come through my head, and I didn't fall on the floor, but I've never been hit with electricity like that. So that's why I asked that question. And I think it has to be because of the yogi.
That what?
That lightning hit me. That never happened to me before. Yeah.
Right, right. Well, what did you take from it then?
I didn't know what to think. That was a long time ago.
Right.
And a similar thing, but not exactly like that, when somebody was channeling the it's one channeling Baba, but it was channeling like good. It
Right.
was uh, and it comes too much energy came into me, so I don't know how to say. I can't describe it, but it wasn't like getting hit like lightning.
Right. So one thing we're learning now is to make sure that we're not anymore needing these other influences to channel through us. What I'm trying to do is for me to connect and channel to the main source, which is the Supreme Soul. And the only reason that he wants us to remember him is because he wants us to remember who we are. That's it.
Ah,
Ultimately, this is the reason. Because all the qualities that he possesses, I possess too. I, the soul, possess too. And I forgot my qualities. I forgot my powers. So I'm connecting with him to remember again, what does it mean to have power of love and power of tolerance and power of cooperation. So, because he does it and he is the embodiment of it. So, you know, it's like the color of the company will color me. So if I am in the company of the ultimate perfection, then I will start remembering my own perfection. And I don't need any help from anywhere else because all is inside me. So with that, I'll just tell you that I'll send you this thing and I'll send you the clip on the Lion King. And if you can find the last unicorn, that would be lovely too. And have a very good evening. Stay in the remembrance on the pilgrimage, because this pilgrimage is the freest pilgrimage that you can have.
Thank you, Sister Om Shanti.
Om
Om
Shanti.
Shanti.
Shall we just take a minute of silence together?
Yes, please.
Just invite Baba into your space. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.